Hey everyone, Phil Barrera here from the Way Forward Podcast, reporting live from the JPU 2024 Podathon, featuring podcasters from all over Northeast Florida and benefiting, speaking of Northeast Florida, a great opportunity to support a good cause in feeding Northeast Florida. So we're here with our next interview of the evening, a friend of that I met elsewhere, actually in a different community, outside of the podcasting community. So for those of our audience who do not know you, please introduce yourself as well as your show.
My name is Frances Marie Rivera Pacheco. I am the tour guide or the host of the Self-Growth Train podcast.
Awesome. And how long have you been doing that, and what made you want to start it?
Okay, so I have been doing the Self-Growth Train podcast for 4 years now. In December 22nd, I'm 4 years old, so yay! And what made me want to start was because I really, really value mental health and just making sure that people feel not alone. I want to make sure that people feel welcome, that they feel like understood. So that is why I started the podcast. I just wanted a place where people could talk about things that were going on in their lives. And like, my main message is that I don't want you to feel alone. So that is what I've been doing.
Yeah, I love that. And how has your experience in other communities? Like I said, you and I met through the acting community here in Jacksonville, which is also very, very strong and really, really like a really, really great community here in Jacksonville. How has that kind of helped you with your podcast as well?
I think that overall, everything in my life, including the acting community, has helped me by introducing me to new people, new experiences, new stories that I take in, and also that I can share my own stories with, right? And so I think that by being involved with different communities, I'm able to help others understand that they're not alone, and also that whatever that they're going through is totally normal. Or like, maybe if it's not normal, it's like, you're not the only one going through it. So it's okay, we got this.
And I can tell you, and shout out to Creative Veins really quick. Let's shout them out, the local acting studio here. I have taken things, and even though I've only done a couple classes, I've taken things that I've learned in those beginner and intermediate acting classes that I've applied to podcasting. Yeah. So like, no matter what your background is, you can find something that you can apply to your show in a bunch of other areas. So you were trying to rack your brain a little bit before we got started, and maybe it's because you had so many to choose from. Do you have a favorite episode, or maybe even a few favorite episodes?
I do have a favorite episode, and I know it's kind of weird to say, but it's called Facing Shadows, My Struggles with Suicide Ideation. And the reason for this is because my topic is usually mental health or self-growth. And so I think that one of the biggest things that people don't think about me is that I'm such a positive person, outgoing person, that like, oh, she's never gone through anything, or she's never thought about the fact that she might feel like a burden, or she might be better off not here. So because of that, that's why that episode holds so much power to me. And also, like, my whole purpose with that episode was to make sure that people understood, like, again, they're not alone. Some of these things happen, and it's totally normal to feel a certain way, but just because you feel that certain way doesn't mean that you can't get help. And so for me, it was very important to talk about it, not in a glorified or in a stigmatized way, but to talk about it in a raw way, so that way people could connect and say, hey, if I have been in that position and I have faced these struggles, then I understand where she's coming from, and also, like, I understand that I can get better.
I love that. Well, 4 years in, almost 4 years coming up here.
In December 22.
What is something that you still either want to learn or even just get better at?
I want to definitely get better at. My biggest thing is consistency. Right now, I've been on a hiatus, or hiatus? Is that hiatus? English is my second language. But anyways, I have been in a hiatus for, 3-4 months. But I think it's also important I told myself that I wanted this to be a once a week podcast. And I think that's a mistake that we always do. It's like, sometimes the topics can be too complex or too hard on ourselves, that it's like, doing it once a week is going to be too draining.
It's also a heavy topic. You tackle a lot of heavy stuff. So yeah, once a week is a lot.
I talk about heavy stuff. So it's like I want to change it to maybe once a month, especially because I have 3 jobs right now, and that is not helping. But yeah, I want to definitely change the format, and I think that's why this is great, because like I get to talk to you and tell you about the fact that I'm changing it to 3 once a month. Why did I say 3? I meant I'm changing the format to once a month, and I think that will be great, because again, like the topic can be very heavy, and I don't want to drain myself, or the listeners, so.
Finding that balance is really important. So that's great that you're prioritizing that for the health of your show as well. Not only just your mental health, but the health of your podcast in general.
Absolutely.
So that's really important.
And I think that like a lot of people don't want to listen to the same thing over and over again. I think that there's so many topics in mental health that get like saturated, and they just get getting like talked about constantly, that it's like, oh my gosh, if you talk about manifesting one more time, I'm going to be done with you. So I don't know. I think that like what I have found out recently is I want to meet more people. And the more people that I meet, I want to hear their stories. And based on the stories that I hear, I want to kind of like dissect what kind of topics I can bring back into the podcast. Because a lot of the stories that I hear are talking about struggles that we all face. And it's like, it's important to have an outlet. It's important to have a way to look at things and say like, oh, everything is going to be okay. He went through it. I went through it. You went through it. We're all going to be okay. You know?
Absolutely. Well, what is one of your favorite things about the Jacksonville podcaster community?
Oh my gosh, I love the fact that I get to meet so many people. I also love the fact that we get table talks, and we get to talk about like specific topics, which I did not get to see any today, but it's okay. It's okay. I've seen them before.
You were volunteering, so it's okay. She was working hard.
Exactly. I was working today, but I think it's so important for us to have that access to education, because I don't know about you, but I didn't have anything when I started.
No, not until we found this community and then got to network and meet all of you guys.
It's so great to have that community that you can fall back into and say, hey, I want to get educated. I want to learn more about it. Like for me, like one of the things that I want to learn is how to stay consistent, because that's what I struggle with the most. I think that overall, like the podcast stuff, I do okay. Audio sometimes sucks, but that's because of the equipment. But overall,
a great place to network and just meet new friends, learn new things. It's great. So Frances, thank you so much for your time. One more time, let the audience know where they can find you and any of your projects.
They can find me at the Self-Growth Train podcast, and my name is Frances Marie Rivera Pacheco.
Thanks, guys. Once again, we're here at the JPU 2024 Podathon.